Alright guys, James at Rampant Lion Reviews again for you today. For this one, we are going to do another out and about video. So I'm still on the Aalto University campus here in Helsinki, and there is a second brewery here after Olarinpanimo. So the one that we're going to check out today, as you might be able to tell from the big tower behind me, is Fat Lizard Brewing, and these guys are pretty big in terms of volume that they're brewing these days. But yeah, we'll do as we usually do. We'll go in, we'll have a little look around, we'll try a couple of the beers, and I hope that you guys enjoy this one. I'm very curious to try another Finnish brewery that I haven't had anything from before. So let's get started on this one. Alright guys, so yeah, this is the outside of the Fat Lizard Brewery. So yeah, from what I understand, there is actually a little bit of a licensing problem for these guys. So they kind of had to take the decision of brewing more beer or sacrificing selling the really strong stuff at the tap room, and they decided to go for brewing more beer. So as soon as they crossed the line for the 500,000 litres per year mark, they had to not sell the stronger beers here at the tap room. So all of the things you can see in here, which we'll look at a little bit more closely in a minute, are actually available in the supermarkets here in Finland. But they've got a lovely tap room actually, so I have to say I do hope that the Finnish government changed the laws so it's a little bit easier for these guys going forward. Lovely tap room. There's Riku and Mika and my dad just chilling once again. So yeah, lovely tap room I have to say. But yeah, let's have a little look at the beers they've got in the fridges here. So you can see the 101 California Pale Ale. That's all of these beers actually. Then they have the Backdrop Porter, Lake Boredom Lager. This is actually a collaboration with Children of Boredom, very famous Finnish band of course. But yeah, Track Day Session IPA, the Ankle Slapper, which is an American Pale Ale. Then they have the Salty Beach Goza. They have the Savannah Apricot and Ginger, which is that's a seltzer. I think basically they've got another one here, Sacramento, which is another seltzer. The Kivimies Lager. Then they have the, what's this one? Finny Tinny, which is a sparkling ale. Wonder if that's based on the thing from Cooper's in Australia. But yeah, they have the Fat Riff, which is an American Pale Ale. Sauna Pale Ale, you do need to visit the sauna if you come to Finland. Boston Berry Blend, another hop seltzer. And over here, a few other things, lemonades and stuff like that. So yeah, Centennial Pills from Massis Brewery, Brewery Takatalo, and Tompuri, if I'm pronouncing that right, probably butchering the Finnish. If you hear Riku and Mika laughing at me behind, that means I am butchering the Finnish. But yeah, new long drink, as we got to try a long drink the other day in Helsinki Brewery. Berry cider ale, apple cider, and natural cider. And here we've got the Fat Lizard merchandise. So yeah, Lake Boredom t-shirt, different colours. This one looks like a cycling shirt actually. They've got the little beer cooler bag, they've got the fat socks, some badges and things like that here too, and the Fat Lizard patch for you. One of these little beer coolers, a few books and things, a lanyard, a hat, a mat for your home bar, and a Jesus bag as well. Hello Mr. Beer Jesus. There we go. So yeah, some interesting merchandise available here. So that's a little walk around of the Fat Lizard tap room. Hopefully they can get a license again to sell the stronger beers, because we're here about 4 o'clock and it's a little bit dead unfortunately, but I do like the drum kit up here. I miss my drums. Alright guys, well, let's get started on our first and what will be only beer tasting then here at the Fat Lizard Brewery. We're going to go to the restaurant in a little bit, so you'll see that just after this particular segment. So the beer that we're going to have a look at is actually a recommendation from Riku. So this one is called Conan Juice. It comes in at 6.5% ABV, and they're describing this one as a Vermont IPA. So yeah, this should be pretty nice actually. So it says on the side here, Conan Juice Vermont IPA. Despite its name and the Conan yeast acting like a brute, this Vermont-styled IPA is full of soft and delicious peachy aromas. With just the right amount of bittering hops, you will still know that you're drinking an IPA that can kick the ass of any kind of day you may be having. So the hops in this one are Amarillo, Centennial, Columbus, Simcoe and Magnum. All kind of old school hops actually. Magnum can be German or wherever. You can get, I think you can get New Zealand Magnum as well if memory serves me correctly, and American Magnum. But yeah, that Magnum will be the bittering hop in this one, I'm sure. But Amarillo, 12% alpha acid, big oily zesty orange. Centennial, about 14% alpha acid, big kind of zesty lemon. Columbus can be 14 to 16% alpha acid, usually a bittering hop, big sort of spicy floral notes. And then Simcoe about 12% alpha acid, big kind of depends on what you put it in, but it's usually a big kind of passion fruity sort of thing. But all of those hops, of course, are American. But this should be quite interesting. So yeah, Conan Juice Vermont IPA, 6.5% ABV. So they actually poured this beer at the bar. As I explained in the last bit of the video, there were a few kind of licensing issues with this. So this is kind of like Sweden here. They have to pour the beer out of the can and give it to you. But yeah, they gave us this lovely kind of 440 milliliter glass. Should point out that can was a 440 ml, not a half litre. But yeah, when the beer poured, it had about a half finger of a frothy, I would say kind of cream coloured head, and you can see that this beer is actually a little bit more kind of West Coasty in its appearance. So yeah, one or two big bubbles sticking toward the side of the glass, a few little ones going up toward the bottom of the head there, but overall it looks pretty nice. The first thing that comes to mind when I talk about a Vermont IPA and with the appearance of this beer, the first thing that comes to mind is the beers that I had from Lawson's Finest Liquids a couple of years ago actually, and those were really interesting because they had a sort of West Coast malt base to them, but they had the more kind of New England hoppy character, and I'm wondering if that's what this beer is going to be like actually, you know, West Coast sort of malt base, but a little bit more a little bit more kind of lighter on the bitterness and more oily on the fruity character. This should be quite nice. But yeah, as you can see, lovely kind of very light amber colour, not too much in the way of visible carbonation, and it is a little bit clear. So I really like how this goes together actually. Yeah, I don't think we need to say anything else about the appearance of this one. Let's have a wee look at the aroma. So yeah, aroma wise, this beer, getting a little bit of it in my moustache there, but yeah, aroma wise, this one is kind of like I was expecting from what I mentioned with Lawson's Finest Liquids. You've got a little bit of that bread crust for sure. You get that kind of sweetness in the malt base that you would expect of a more West Coasty type IPA. So a little bit of bread crust, for sure some kind of brown bready notes, a little bit of white bread, and also a little bit of a sweet caramel and more McVitie's digestive biscuity sort of thing. But I think the malt base really leans more toward that caramelly sort of thing. But as you can see, remember the colour of these beers depends on the type of malts that you use, and this isn't the most amber of IPAs that you're going to have, so I don't think it's got like Turo or Crystal or caramel in it as some of these beers can, but it does actually smell pretty brown sugary, which I like. Yeah, aroma wise, this is pretty nice actually. So yeah, on the hoppy side of things, yeah, little touch of earthiness, nice bright floral character I have to say. From the aroma, it doesn't strike me that there's too much in the way of early edition hops, I will say that. It doesn't have, when you've got Columbus involved, usually that gives you that big kind of spiciness. But yeah, this one, yeah, that you get a nice bit of floral character out of it. You also get a good little bit of grassiness, but it's quite wet in the way it goes about that side of things. Yeah, it is pretty interesting for sure. yeah, so the green component for me is quite wet rather than being big and oily. On the fruity side of things, I get a lot of orange from the Amarillo for sure. I do get a little bit of the lemon from the Centennial, but the Amarillo really dominates this one for me. But you do get a little bit of this kind of passion fruity, mango-y sort of thing, which I'm guessing is from the Simcoe. But yeah, aroma-wise, this is really nice. It is more West Coast, like I say, it's really West Coasty, but it's just not as kind of bitter and dank as you might expect from a West Coast. I really think this is going to be something like what we had from Lawson's Finest Liquids a couple of years ago when Chris sent me those beers. So yeah, let's have a taste of this and see how we go. So this one is the Conan Juice, a Vermont IPA, 6.5% ABV, the first ever beer that I've tasted from Fat Lizard. Let's get stuck in. Slàinte, skål, cheers. I should say keepis as well. That's one of the few Finnish words I do know, keepis. But yeah, I'm going to say straight away, this is really quite nice actually. It's just solid beer, and it is what I expected. It is, you know, when we say Vermont IPA, we think, we think. For me at least, I think Lawson's Finest Liquids, you know, caramelly malt base, bit of hoppy, you know, oily fruity notes, West Coasty type fruits, but then New England level bitterness. That's really what I'm getting out of this one. But yeah, this is a solid beer. This, I like it for sure. Let's break it down for you then and describe the flavour properly. So, backbone of the beer, middle of the palate, you do get this really nice kind of fresh bread crusty sort of thing. On top of that, I get quite a bit of like wholemeal, brown bready character. In the middle of the palate, there is a nice oily caramel to this one. And as you move further out from that, you get a little bit more of a kind of McVitie's digestive, biscuity sort of note as well. And yeah, the further into the aftertaste you go, it does get that little bit more grainy actually. So yeah, it's interesting how all of that goes together. It really is quite West Coasty in its malt base. On the back third of the palate, yeah, you get more of the graininess. The brown bread is a little bit more kind of fluffy and things, I guess we could say. It feels a little bit taller on the back third of the palate. Yeah, bit of graininess underneath. You've got the bit of graininess underneath. You've got the brown bread, and then yeah, it's really nice. The malty side of this beer is very good actually, and pardon me as I say, it gets a bit of a big thumbs up from me, I should say. Brain is not working in this video, guys, have to be honest. But yeah, hoppy side of things then. Let's look at the green component of the beer. Yeah, back corners of the palate, you've got a nice little bit of earthiness there. As you move further forward, you do start to get this more deep kind of floral character, which I enjoy. It does get a little bit spicy toward the front corners of the palate, then round the front curve of the tongue it's a wee bit lighter and more grassy as well. So yeah, like I say, the green component you get out of this one isn't as big and dank as you'll get from a straight up West Coast California, whatever we're calling it these days, IPA. But yeah, it really is, as I say, what I expected from these Lawson's Finest Liquids beers that we had a wee while ago. Yeah, this beer, it's really grown on me the more that I drink of it, and it's actually quite similar to what I was getting from the Aroma as well. So front third of the palate, toward the back of that front third of the palate, I do get a little touch of a more kind of pungent passion fruit, but it mellows out as you come further forward. You get that more oily, juicy passion fruit. That'll be the Simcoe. But then as you move into the front half of the front third of your palate, you get that big zesty orange from the Amarillo, and a wee bit of as you reach the front tip of the tongue, you do get that more lemony kind of thing from the Centennial as well. Really nice beer on the fruity side of things. I think the fruity side of this beer is the kind of highlight for me. It is kind of similar to some of these beers that I've termed or coined, whatever you want to say, new school West Coast IPAs. It's a little bit like that, but I think it's it's quite nicely done. It's got a real softness to it, this one, in terms of flavour, which I'm enjoying. To round off then with a mouthfeel, I would say top end to mid body, smooth carbonation, lovely kind of oiliness to it. Yeah, lovely big oiliness. Yeah, I think that's fair to say. Yeah, it's just got this really nice oiliness to it. There's a wee touch of kind of slight creaminess in the malt base, but not overly much. IBU wise, I think this is about 30 IBUs, but yeah, that's kind of what you would expect from a Vermont IPA or New England, whatever. Malt base is really nice, bit oily, bit grainy and things, and then you've just got that slightly oily, fruity character as well. But I think that's everything we need to say about this one. So yeah, this is the Conan Juice, a Vermont IPA. Really reminds me of the Lawson's Finest Liquid things. This is from Fat Lizard. Also, the brewery here is also on the Alto campus I mentioned earlier, here in Helsinki. So that is your only tasting, as I say, that we're going to do here at the brewery, but we'll go to the restaurant in just a second. Catch you with a few more tastings later on. It's lunch just now, keep this. Alright guys, so a little quick look at the tap list here then at Fat Lizard. So yeah, they've got the Lapola, Hoppy Cider, Bikini Top, American Wheat, Sauna Pale Ale, Haze Oddity, the Backdrop Porter, Atlantic Lobster, Lake Boredom, and Ankle Slapper. Quite a nice selection of sort of sessionable beers. So I really do hope that they sort out this issue with the license. We're here in early July 2022, but I really do hope this issue with the kind of volume and licensing is sorted out quite soon, because they do have a lovely tap room here. It's a shame they can't sell their stronger beers, but there you can see all the taps and things there. They've also got some whiskies and bourbons and stuff over there, but yeah, pretty nice actually. But hopefully we'll see some bigger stuff on tap here at Fat Lizard in the future. But yeah, there we are. Alright guys, well, a little bit of a change of plan in this video then. So we were going to go to the Fat Lizard restaurant, which is quite close by, but Mika and Riku have decided they want to go to Etco. So I thought I would do another kind of beer tasting just to sort of round off this video a little bit more. And yeah, we're going to film outside for this one. So it's not often you can actually film a beer review in a kind of sun lounge or beach chair, if you like, that is branded for the individual brewery. So yeah, I'm quite happy about this. So the beer that we're going to have a look at is one that just kind of caught my eye. So yeah, this one is called the Lager of Boredom, I believe. Comes in at 5% ABV, and this is a collaboration between Fat Lizard Brewing and Children of Boredom, a very well-known Finnish, what would you say, black metal, death metal? I'm not sure exactly how to kind of label them. But colour-wise, you can see this one's got this lovely sort of ambery thing to it. I wonder if this is going to be more of a sort of Märzen or Vienna Lager or something like that. When it poured, it had about a quarter finger of a frothy, I would say, kind of fawn, ivory coloured head. That's faded away to just be a very kind of thin, foamy layer now. But yeah, it looks pretty good, I have to say. But yeah, definitely one of the more amber lagers I've come across in recent times. Not too much in the way of visible carbonation with this one, but yeah, it looks good. So, on the... let's have a little look at the aroma then and see how we get on with this one. So, straight away with the aroma then, you get this lovely little bit of kind of brown bready bread crust, for sure. Lots of kind of wholemeal bread. There's a good bit of sweet caramel in here, some nice kind of biscuity aromas as well. Yeah, it actually smells, it's kind of a combination. The aroma of this one smells like a combination of a German Märzen. You could probably also argue like a Czech Letzak as well. But it's also got a few kind of Vienna Lager characteristics too. So that kind of slightly grainy brown bread that it has is a characteristic you'd expect of the Vienna Lagers. But yeah, definitely sweet caramel, good little bit of biscuit, the kind of grainy sort of rye bready notes that it has. Those are the things that make me think Vienna Lager, but the biscuity, caramelly notes are more along the lines of a Märzen, something like this. But yeah, aroma-wise, I think this is the malty side of this is very, very nice. It's definitely somewhere between like a Märzen and a Vienna Lager for sure. You do get a little bit of yeastiness out of this too. There's a little bit of woodiness, a little bit of crackery character. Yeah, it goes together really, really nicely. On the hoppy side of the beer, I would say, yeah, it's got a little bit of a kind of earthy note to it, wee bit of herbal character, some nice floral notes, but the main part of the green component for me is more grassy than anything else. Yeah, it smells really nice. On the fruity side of things, there's a little bit of oily pear in there. Yeah, there's a little bit of an oily pear for sure. Yeah, definitely some oily pear, a little bit of sultana. You're also getting a wee touch of kind of red fruit out of this one. There's a little bit of that almost candied strawberry sort of thing. Yeah, it's nice for sure. The aroma, this is very good. The more that I smell of it, the more that I'm leaning towards saying this is a Vienna Lager rather than another style. But yeah, let's have a taste of this and see how we go. So yeah, the Lager of Boredom, if I remember the name correctly, I probably haven't. But yeah, this one, a 5% lager beer from Fat Lizard. Slange it, skull, cheers, keep this, your second and final tasting here at the Fat Lizard Brewing Company's Brewery tap room. Keep this. Yeah, this is a Vienna Lager. Quite glad I picked this because I do enjoy a good Vienna Lager, and you don't find all that many of these around these days. So yeah, this is very, very nice. One thing I will say is I'm pretty sure they overcharged me on the bar for this. They charged me €7.60 for 200 millilitres. So I think he's pressed the wrong button on the thing. I might need to go and ask him about that afterwards, because yeah, that's not right. But yeah, on the malty side of things, you do get that nice little bit of kind of rye bready bread crust form in the backbone of the beer, some slightly sweeter brown bread on top. In the middle of your palate, you get a nice little bit of a sweet caramelly character, bit of a toasty caramel note as well, and then as you move out toward the extremities of that middle third of your palate, you get a little bit of a kind of biscuity vibe to it as well. But the thing that really makes it lean toward the Vienna Lager style for me is that graininess that you get. You get that big kind of brown bready grainy character to it. On the back third of the palate, you've absolutely got more of that. You can feel that big sort of yeasty kind of thing to it. But yeah, I like how all that goes together. The malty and yeasty side of this beer is really nice. Pretty much Vienna Lager like. It's not Märzen. The breadiness you get out of this and the kind of graininess is definitely Vienna Lager. On the hoppy side of things, a little bit of earthiness for sure, kind of noble earthiness. As you move further forward, it's a little bit more herbal, and as you go toward the kind of front corners of the palate, you get a nice little bit of floral character. But I wouldn't say it's a spicy floral note. It is more of a kind of smooth floral type thing that you get out of this one. Round the front curve of the palate, it's a little bit lighter and wetter and grassy and things. But yeah, the hoppy side of this again fits with the Vienna Lager category. I'm really leaning toward that with this beer. It definitely comes across more Vienna Lager like. On the fruity side of things, the front third of your palate has a little bit of a kind of brown bready base. Yeah, a little bit, yeah, bit of brown bready base, a little bit of bread crust. But then on top of that, it's quite nice. Toward the back of that front third of your palate, you're getting a little bit of a, you know, a kind of sultana type note. As you move further forward, it becomes more oily and peary, and then there's a little touch of that kind of candy strawberry type thing coming out of this beer. So yeah, it goes together really well actually. I like what this one has. What this one has to offer, and it's definitely a Vienna Lager for sure. I'm pretty certain of that. It's not Märzen like, it's not kind of light and biscuity enough to fit into that style category. But yeah, let's have a wee look at the mouthfeel then, just to round off with this one. So yeah, for me, top end of light bodied, carbonation is very smooth. It's got a lovely little bit of oiliness to it. In terms of IBU, I think it's about 20 IBUs this beer. The malty base, as I said, it has a good little bit of greeniness to it, which makes me think, yeah, this is more of a Vienna Lager. There's a good bit of sweetness in there, and the fruitiness is quite nice too. That's a really nice lager beer, this one. So yeah, this one is the Boredom Lager, 5% ABV. Pretty sure from the tasting that we've just had, this is a Vienna Lager, although it was just listed as a regular lager. Definitely not a Märzen, definitely not a Czech Svetli either. It really has the characteristics of a Vienna Lager. But yeah, that is the end of your second and final tasting then here at Fat Lizard. I've really enjoyed this. So yeah, catch you guys in just a second. I'll give you my final thoughts on the tap room here, and I hope you've enjoyed this. Cheers, keep us. Alright guys, well that is our time over then here at Fat Lizard. So yeah, it was a bit of a shame to come here when they can't sell their heavier alcohol beers, because I've heard some of the bigger stuff that these guys do is very nice. But as I say, it's a lovely tap room. The guys in here were very nice, and we got to try 2 really nice beers. So when I was talking about the price of the Lake Boredom Lager that I had in the last tasting, what actually happened was the barman charged me for 2 of them, and so he said to me, well, I can either give you your money back or you can take a can. So I decided I was going to take a can of this to do a proper sit-down review of. So you'll see this on the channel at some point in the fairly near future. Yeah, really lovely Vienna Lager this, so I'm looking forward to trying that again at a later date, because this will last very nicely. But yeah, I had a nice hour or so here at Fat Lizard Brewery tap room, I should say, here in the Aalto University campus. Hopefully they get the licensing issue sorted and they can start selling their heavy hitting beers here a little bit later on. But yeah, I do recommend you come and check this out, but leave it a little bit and see if they sort out that licensing issue. So yeah, I hope that you guys enjoyed another out and about video. This one's a little bit shorter compared to the other ones that we filmed here in Finland, but yeah, really enjoying my time here. So catch you guys very soon. Slange, skull, cheers, keepies and kiitos. Check out my social media and check out Fat Lizard Brewery's social media, and you'll see the Lake Boredom Lager reviewed in a couple of videos time. Slange just now.